A show that tackles the big issues affecting the BVI and the rest of the Caribbean. Searches for answers to today's big questions and gives viewers a unique perspective on developing stories. Follow the big story with me, Kathy Richards, only on GTV. This show is brought to you by the National Bank of the Virgin Islands, Cyril B. Ramney Tortola Pier Park, NV Salon, Spa, Nail and Barbershop, the Wellness Center, Medical and Behavioral Health Clinics, Tisley Cross, Deliciously Smooth Cider, and Digicel, simply more speed, reliability and entertainment. This is the big story. I'm Kathy Richards. I want to thank you so much for joining us for this edition. I'm out here and loving the atmosphere. It's all the way at Anegada. I want to thank SITS for opening up their space for me to sit a little bit with one of my favorite lady advocates for anything community, anything woman, everything people. Honorable Shereen Flax-Charles, it's your day on Anegada. I happen to be here and, pop up here. You're having lunch and say, why not? Let's talk.
Of course, Kathy, I'm always willing and I'm always on Anegada. I absolutely love Anegada. I just got back from Jos Van Dyke yesterday. We've had the unfortunate news of the tragic accident there, and I extend condolences to the family, as well as to the friends, as well as to the entire Jos Van Dyke community. It is indeed a sad day for all of us. One of the more prominent business persons on Jos Van Dyke, he will be missed. I actually spoke with him yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And it is indeed a sad day for all of us in the BVI.
And then we heard too the young man who lost his life in a motorcycle accident as well on Fort Hill the same night,
Kathy, it's been a rough day for the BVI. I also extend condolences to the family of Mr. Vincent Huggins. It is quite tragic, and especially when you lose such a young person. We extend condolences to the family. We'll pray with them. We'll pray for them to get through this time of grief.
Well, but we continue to do what we have to do. We pray for the strength of their family. But to pivot, when I saw you today and I decided, I'll have to have this conversation with her, especially reflecting that, we're coming down to the end of a first term for you in government. You would have sat in several positions during that. Let's do a little reflection.
Well, it's been quite an experience. There have been ups and downs. I enjoyed it because as you said, I'm an advocate. It's all about the people trying to help persons. There would have been successes and there would have been failures in certain areas. But overall, I believe that we were able to accomplish much. There's a lot of work to do, Kathy. And I get the calls every day. Here in Anegada today, I was totally bombarded, but I don't mind. I reached out as soon as somebody comes and says, this is my issue, right in front of them. I call the relevant government department or ministry, and we get some clarity on the way forward. And that's what I'm here for, to help people, put them in the right direction with what needs to be done to get their problems resolved. And so it's been really a good experience for me. I love helping people. I always have. And I also want to see the communities prosper, and that's what's important.
Okay. In that reflection, let's talk a little bit about Anegada. For the past how many years, you would have been hearing from the people of Anegada, oh, we are not a priority, Anegada is a key component of the tourism industry and other industries here in this territory. And they felt so off. They've been feeling so often as though they're not a priority. As you have you been seeing a change in the way they're being dealt with and their feelings?
Well, I will say to you, I treat all of the islands as a priority equally. And yes, coming from a sister island, there are certain things that I have control over. Not many, but I do my very best to make sure. And one of the things that I always do is make sure that I'm always present to listen, to hear the concerns of the people of Anegada, to hear the concerns of the people of the sister islands, and of course to hear the concerns of the persons living on Tortola. And it is a rough road. There are a lot of things that need to be done, and we have to change our mindset and just remember that the BVI has several islands, islet, keys, rocks, etc. Not all are inhabited, but we need to make sure that there's equity, equality across the board in every area, and that is something that I have advocated for. And I will go a step further to say some of the things that affect the sister islands, Cathy, affect the persons on Tortola as well. And so while our sister islands sometimes, yes, we do feel neglected, some of the same issues still affect Tortola. And so it needs to be an effort where we cooperate and we do things simultaneously and not in a vacuum or in a bubble.
Okay. What are some of the uniqueness? Because despite what we say, while we say we are all one, there are uniqueness among these islands and its peoples.
Well, I'll tell you, I've always said that and I've always advocated that. Sometimes you cannot just throw a blanket over the whole BVI and think that that will resolve the problem. The challenge with that is that each island has its own unique situation. For instance, healthcare services and medical evacuations on Anegada are so much different from Tortola, from Virgin Gorda, from Jas Van Dyke. But at the end of the day, every life is important. And so some of the same issues that we have with a medical evacuation on each of the three main sister islands is the same. But then Anegada is more distant. It is further away. Weather can be a challenge for any of the islands, but it is much further away from the rest of the BVI. And so that in itself is one example where we cannot just have a blanket approach to how we deal with issues, how we deal with medical evacuations or anything else when it comes to Anegada specifically, or Virgin Gorda, or Jas Van Dyke, as well as Tortola. I've had the experience of having to medevac one of my children out of Virgin Gorda years ago. And when I listen to what other persons say on all of the four main islands, a lot of the things are the same. And so we have to work together to come to some sort of a, not a compromise, but something where everything works and all the puzzles fit together and everybody understands that we are so unique that we have 60 destinations in the territory, and we brag about that when it comes to tourism. Imagine you can have breakfast in Anegada, lunch on Virgin Gorda, and dinner on Tortola or Jas Van Dyke. And so we need to be able to blend all of that together so that the people are satisfied with the services that government and other entities deliver.
I was like surprised when someone said to me today, you know, we really got really bad roads here in Anegada. Watching my friend and I did what you're doing now, laugh.
Well, I'll say to you, we have a little bit of it everywhere in the BVI, and it's something that I have been very passionate about, and the minister for the subject can tell you that. Because I normally drive from Trellis Bay 90% of the times, and when you get to Road Town, you really have to catch yourself. But there are issues on Anegada, there are issues on Virgin Gorda, the issues on Tortola, with the roads as well. And as I mentioned before, let's not do things in a vacuum. Let's try to do this simultaneously, because one hand cannot clap, and what affects Anegada affects Virgin Gorda, Tortola, and Jas Van Dyke, and vice versa, all the way around. So we need to find the perfect,
Common ground.
exactly,
Yes.
Kathy, exactly.
Yeah. What brought me to Anigada today was to witness first. And yes, you could have asked someone, take a few photos and snap and send me. I can run a little thing. Was a training program came here for the very first time to have boaters get the requisite certification that they need when it comes to boat. Prior to this, not the first time they're being trained in this area, but for most of them, they would have had to travel to either Virgin Gorda or travel to Tortola, and training takes like a week, count the expenses. And what
Yes.
we're realizing now is that, through advocacy from the people themselves, these services are gradually trickling in and coming to the people of the Virgin, to Anigada. How can we push to have these be recognized even more, the need for things like these?
Well, Kathy, I want to say that I've always felt that the power is in the people. And while we sometimes are in an atmosphere where people are fearful of victimization, persecution, etc., we have to stand up. And the people need not fear when they're standing up for their rights and what is due to them. So I'm happy that persons in the community advocated for this training to come to Anegada, and they need to continue to do that, because unfortunately, I find, and I think other people will feel the same way, if you do not speak out, sometimes nothing is done. The more persons advocate and speak up, things will happen. It shouldn't take too much prodding to get some of these things done. Unfortunately, it happens, but persons need to know that they need to speak up. And you can't worry about the criticism. People will always criticize. You cannot please everybody, Kathy. And so for me, I'm happy to see it happening. I'm happy that HLSCC was able to accommodate, and they've always been very accommodating, because I've worked with them on many projects and programs, and always speak to them about what needs to be done throughout the territory. So persons need to feel comfortable to advocate, to speak up, whether it is something that is not what people expect, whether it is something that is happening. You can't be afraid to say to a government official, whether it's an elected member, a department head, a permanent secretary, listen, this isn't right. This needs to be fixed. And I'll tell you, on the phone today, I was calling everybody in the book with every issue that persons, whether they called or they
came
came
in
in,
person.
from electricity, education, you name it. I had persons, DMV persons had concerns, and we were able to get some of them sorted. I'm still waiting on some callback as well, but I know that I will get the callback so that I can tell the relevant persons, this is the issue here in Anegada. And after coming from Jas Van Dyke yesterday, I realized that there were some commonalities in some of the complaints. And so you can kill two birds with one stone, talk to that PS or the department head, and get some clarity so that the people know how to move forward.
Okay, we must give some personal kudos to Kelly Faulkner for his advocacy and push to motivate the HLSCC government by extension for getting this program come over. Everyone was saying, Kelly, yes, it's Kelly,
You will-
it's Kelly. Kelly Faulkner, take your flowers.
Yes, and he should, and he's very vocal. I think I speak to Kelly probably twice a week. He will reach out with some issue that he would like assistance with, and 99% of the time it's not about something personal. It's about how can we
community.
fix this issue for Anegada and by extension the BVI.
Wow.
And so it is important that we recognize persons who do advocate for the things that need to be done throughout the territory.
Awesome. Well, I guess if you were on social media, and I do see you there, you would have been seeing the new trend. Now we've moved from the tart war to egg war.
The expectation and
Expectation,
expensive.
expensive expedition.
Well, Kathy, I will tell you, I had almost made up my mind not to purchase eggs right now. But I got a call, I think it was yesterday. I saw you're going to Anegada. I ordered 12 dozen eggs from a farmer in Anegada for my restaurant. Would you be able to bring them back to Virgin Gorda
Wow.
for me? I said, of course, I would love that. And I'll tell you, the price, I think what I was told was like almost $12 a dozen on Virgin Gorda. And it is a lot less on Anegada, the wholesale price. And I applaud the farmers here and throughout the territory who are trying to make a difference. And I spoke with the Director of Agriculture and Fisheries today, Mr. Theodore James, and I said to him, listen, we need to reach out to these egg-producing farmers to work with them so that we can sustain our restaurants and our households or yachts wherever eggs are needed for our community to continue. As you know, one of my sons is a chef, and so I know how important
Eggs
eggs are
are.
in so many dishes. And Kathy, I was amazed. I even got somebody else said to me, "Can you bring 2 dozen eggs for me?" And Anegada, and I would say to all the farmers throughout the BVI that are producing eggs, reach out to the agricultural department and let's see how we can partner with you to provide all of the eggs that we need in the territory. And I know that I was a little skeptical about saying that I would come on and talk about it, but it's a good news story and we need to talk
Yes,
about it.
yes.
The farmers are going to have to step up. I know a hen can only lay so many eggs in a day. However,
But we could get a whole lot of hens.
exactly. But the thing is, it is better that you have greater demand. And so this is a perfect example of how we can help to sustain ourselves. But I know that the farmers are going to probably need a little bit of help here and there. They've complained about the cost of the feed and so forth. If you're a registered farmer, reach out to the department so that when you're importing your feed, the department can work with you with customs to ensure that that's sorted out. There's something in the law that speaks to that. I don't have it in front of me and I don't want to misquote, but these are things that we need to do, and these are ways that we can help the farmers to help themselves. And so I expect that the department will get many calls from the egg producing farmers and farmers that produce other things as well. But I want to really give kudos to those farmers that are stepping up to the plate and doing what needs to be done to make sure that we have eggs in the BVI that are at that are moderately priced.
Yeah, but forever, we've been saying, we need to get on the bandwagon of becoming more self-sufficient with what we produce, with our food, and the push and the call has been there. It seems as though Mother Nature now is pushing us in the direction, because apparently we're not seeing how we can do it, but with the stresses and the constraints that we're facing now, it's probably showing you this is how you could do it. And are we finding the way now that, showing us which are the areas that we really need to focus on?
Exactly, and sometimes the economy of scales and what's happening in the world forces us into a position where we have to change the way that we think, the way that we buy, the way that we sell, the way that we produce.
And the way that we eat.
Exactly. And so for me, supporting the farmers is so important. Throughout the territory, there are issues with water, there are issues with stray animals, and all of these are
And
things
land.
that Yes, yes, that too. And we're working very diligently to ensure that these issues are sorted out. I know that persons are impatient. Certain things take time. A lot has changed. And the way we did business before is not the way that we can do business now. And so everything has to be documented. There's a process, but we have to make sure that we streamline that process as much as possible so as not to frustrate whether it's the farmer, the business person, etc. And that is the goal. That's what we're looking to do for 2023 and beyond.
Have you realized the transition that you would have gone through uh, as a government official, as a legislator? You came in, you first were was on the tourism, then you were moved to
Trade
trade and economic development, and now added to that is farming, agriculture,
and fisheries.
and the fisheries. The dynamics there. What are some of the dynamics that you have recognized that shows that these are all married together?
Well, that's what I was going to say, Kathy. You cannot have agriculture and fisheries, trade and economic development without tourism. They all go hand in hand, and we have to build that long-lasting marriage between all of these areas. They can't work without each other. And while I was into the tourism sphere, business has always been a forte. I am also well versed in the food and beverage management area. I actually have a degree from HLSCC
Okay.
in food and beverage management. And
Okay.
so I normally don't like to tout all of this about myself, but I think it's important that people know that you can get that education right here in the BVI at HLSCC. And so everything has to come together and all of the pieces have to fit together so that things can happen. And tourism, there's so many areas in tourism that encompass trade, economic development, agriculture and fisheries. And that's where we're trying to move into that area. I know of places on Virgin Gorda that get eggs from Anegada on a regular, for whether it's a private island, whether it's a restaurant or supermarket, they all come together. One hand cannot clap, as I said before, and so everything is related. And to be honest, I consider myself very well rounded. I've worked in a lot of areas before, and while we hone in on tourism, tourism has a broader aspect of things that that encompasses the whole industry. It's just not about somebody coming off a ship or jumping on a yacht or checking into a hotel or a villa. There are many pieces to that puzzle, and so we just need to bring everything together and realize that these things have to work hand in hand. And with unity, there's strength, and I believe that that agriculture and fisheries, tourism, trade, and economic development can all work well together. We see all of these yachts in the harbor here in Anegada. You're seeing them everywhere. We're seeing more people coming in. And Jas Van Dyke, yesterday I was pleasantly surprised. There were so many people walking around. So while the BVI has a reputation and our repeat clientele is about 70% in that neighborhood, we always have to still do more. We have to be on our toes. The competition is there, and we need to make sure that we do what we need to do to secure the future for the people of the BVI.
Awesome. While I know this is one of our kind of softish kind of discussion, tippy-toeing around some things, I cannot end without us having a little talk about this issue that you have been so prodding about for a very long time, and that's the dock at Trellis Bay.
Well, Kathy, again, I can show you a million and one WhatsApp messages, and I won't stop. I won't stop talking about it. I know that the project has been turned over to the RDA to fulfill, and I will be reaching out to them as well as the tourist board to see where they're at to make sure that it is something that happens. Sometimes you're so amazed when you're catching a ferry there. There's so many people there waiting on that ferry. And I, unfortunately, like many others, had to run across to Trellis Bay Market. I want to thank Marley and her father, Mr. Penn, for accommodating us, for making sure these are people who care about our country as well. And so they open up their place, even at the Loose Mongoose, persons running there, trying to get to the restroom before they take the ferry. And we appreciate that. But we need to put something in place because a visitor would not know that they can run across the bay and go to the bathroom. So it is important that this is put in place. I know because of experience it, and like I said, I have the evidence right here in this little device to show that it's something that I've been speaking about for years. In Standing Finance, we've gone through four Standing Finance sessions, and I can almost bet that you can go back and check the reports and see that a lot of the issues are issues that we've brought to the fore many, many times. I mean, literally begging for these things to be done, and we won't stop. I won't stop until these things are done. It's not about me. It's about getting things done so our residents and our visitors are comfortable in the spaces that they're in the Virgin Islands.
All right. Honorable Shereen Flax-Charles, I want to thank you so much for taking this time. You know, we kept it on the softer side because we really want to embrace the atmosphere that we have here at Anegada. It's one of the places to come to relax whenever you want, and I'm not going to give up that feeling for nothing. But I know that you will make yourself available when we'll sit in that studio and we'll talk hard.
Of course, and you know, hard, soft, in between, I'm always ready to go. But today, like I say, Anegada is one of my favorite places in the world. And there's nowhere else like Anegada. And so I love the people. I love just the total atmosphere. And you can kick back, throw your shoes off, and just relax a little. Even though you're here in business, you can still breathe in and find some time to embrace and appreciate Anegada for what it is. And it's
nature,
paradise.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, if you haven't, you need to take that time out for Anegada. This is our moment for it. And I want to thank you for tuning in and enjoying it with us in this space and in this atmosphere. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of The Big Story. I'm Kathy Richards.
We know that where you choose to bank matters, and it is your vote on what your funds do in strengthening our community. As your official Bank of Paradise, we invest and support the lifeblood of our economy by helping in the realization of personal goals for homeownership, education, and entrepreneurial visions, which support small businesses. We make it our place to connect with persons and worthy causes, and we have been doing so for more than 30 years. Where your money goes and what your dollars empower are your choice. And we thank you for choosing us, a bank that gives where it matters the most, for you, for our community, and a happier tomorrow. The National Bank of the Virgin Islands.
Everyone looks to the future, but no one truly knows what the future holds.
The number of people under the age of 20 with type 2 diabetes could increase by 49% by 2050. Let it be known that we all have a 30% chance of developing hypertension.
Globally, more than 300 million people of all ages suffer from depression.
More than 60,000 young adults aged 20 to 39 are diagnosed with cancer each year. Obesity leads to problems such as stroke, heart disease, and kidney failure.
No matter your race, age, or color, we are all at risk.
These diseases can be managed or prevented if caught early.
But with the right medicine and the right doctors to keep us on a path to live a robust and healthy life,
we will live well.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on Popular.
Plug into Digicel Plus and get even more entertainment with Disney Plus included. The best of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic all in one place. Whenever you want, plug into Plus to enjoy Disney Plus and much more with a home fiber bundle. Sign up today. Digicel Plus.